12th, 2022. At this time, please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. Please rise for the invocation and pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Here. Okay, now's the time for public comment, and citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any current or future agenda item coming before the board and any other business under the board's purview. Today's public comment will be handled as follows. First, we will take public comment from those who are in person. Then we will take public comment from those who have pre-registered for a WebEx link and are currently on queue. We request that when you address the board, comments are not directed personally against a commissioner or team member, but rather directed at the issues. This provides mutual respect between the board members and the public. After stating your name and address for the clerk, a 3-minute timer will be activated. After 2 minutes, a single beep will indicate you have 1 minute left. When your time is up, 2 beeps will sound and you should close your comments. WebEx participants will be disconnected automatically when their time is up. And Madam Clerk, do we have any folks signed up?
We do. We have 5 individuals signed up. We will start with Doug Sanders, followed by Arnie Beckett.
Good morning, everybody. For the record, my name is Doug Sanders. I'm president of the Pasco County Historical Society. My address is 38741 Sparkman Road. I'm here just to thank Commissioner Oakley and the County Commission, also Wilton Simpson of the Florida Senate, Michael Hart with Florida's Division of Historical Resources, and your own Ryan Hughes for replacing a sign outside of this courthouse, which stood for 61 years with the wrong date. It said Pasco County was formed May 12, 1887. The correct date was June 2nd. And so it was left up to me to find enough courage to come to Commissioner Oakley and ask, of all the things this commission is dealing with, can you change that sign? And that's what happened, and we thank you very much.
What, do you know why we had the discrepancy?
Back then, this part of Hernando County had a meeting in May of that year to go to Brooksville to see if they could pull away. That date somehow ended up being the date that was put on the sign outside this courthouse in 1961.
Interesting. Okay.
This is good.
I'm glad it's historically correct.
Thank you very much.
No false history here. All right, Madam Clerk, anyone else?
Yes, Arnie Beckett, followed by David Torino. Arnie Beckett. Okay, then David Torino.
I live at 9350 Kenton Road. My name is David Torino. I have been flooded ever since Epperson Ranch started. I was told by one commissioner that we wouldn't have this problem. I was told by another commissioner who came out to my house and said, damn, somebody dropped the ball. I've been wet. I've been talking to Patrick Gassaway, was sent over to my house and took some elevations. Never called me back. He's the one that does all the water work over at Epperson Ranch. And then I find out that Tyndall Road outlet, which is lower than my outlet in front of my house, has been completely closed off. That's where the water goes out, over into Cannon Ranch. I'm 2 foot above seasonal high right now. Seasonal high. 2 foot above it right now. This is our dry season. I've talked to many of you guys. I've talked to a lot of people in this county. I'm not getting no answers. I talked to the county, Donald Carey. He said, well, we're gonna run a pipe across there. It was supposed to happen this spring. Then he tells me, oh, we're not gonna run a pipe across there anymore. That's the outlet. That's what's flooding me. I don't know where to go, who to talk to. I've got a problem. I need help.
When you're done, we'll have someone, I think from Public Works, right there. He's coming up to talk to you as soon as you're done. You still have more time if you want to keep.
I appreciate anything that can be done, but I've been flooded for over 7 years. I got a walkway that goes out to that lake. It's 730 feet, 6 foot wide, completely rotted out from the water being on it. That's the way I used to get back to the lake. There used to be uplands back there. There's no uplands anymore. I'm being flooded by Epperson, by closing the canal off that led out to Cannon Ranch. That's my biggest problem. Thank you. I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you.
Sure, and if you go that way, Mike will meet with you. Okay, Denise?
Yes. Sorry. We have Chris Torino, followed by Mike Pisano. I don't see him.
I'm Chris Torino.
It starts, they start it, you don't have to touch it.
Okay. There ain't much more I
We
can
need
say.
your
that-
name and address. We got your name.
Chris Torino, 9422 Kenton Road. He's explained the flooding situation to you. I talked to Swift Mud, I've talked to the county, I've talked to everybody. They all give me different stories. The particular place he's talking about going across Tendo, the county told me after a while, because I was raising so much hell at the time, that when they were filling the property, they were stopping the drainage of the lake. They said it was connected with Epperson so they could do what they wanted there. That was the last statement I got from them. Why? I don't know. The people that are there are commercial. They don't belong in the neighborhood. Inspector was out there one day. I said, you know, this guy doesn't belong here. He says, yeah, but he said he'd be out in a year. That was going on 3 years ago. He's the one that filled the property and everything. He's a concrete construction man. And he's built buildings there. He's run electric there. I said, he hasn't had a permit for everything. He says, yeah, I know that. But nothing was done. He said, if you want a complaint, you make a complaint. I said, I'm talking to you. What complaint I need to make? You already know everything about it. But the water situation, my home is settling because I'm so saturated with water. You know, I can put a ball on my floor here and it'll run down your wall there. Sense the water out there. You can't, you know, it's getting so bad. And it runs across the road. It floods out of everybody's property. We don't know what to do. We were told we wouldn't have this problem when it started. So basically, you know, like I said, it's the same story, different person.
Well, I'm sorry that Mike isn't in here to hear your comments, but if you would join that gentleman, is it the same area? It's the same area, I guess?
Yes.
They're neighbors.
Yeah. So speak with Mike, and we'll get Swift Mud out there, John Pawanda, to meet with you guys
Okay.
and see what's going on.
All right, Mike Pisano. Oh.
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words this morning. You know, I've lived in Pasco County now for 52 years, came down here when I was 12 years old. So now you know how old I am. And, you know, when I came down here, we had just a few thousand residents. Of course, today we're going to be close to just over 550,000. Soon we'll be at 600,000. And when I came down here, as I grew up, I knew right away that Pasco County was considered the stepchild of Pinellas and Hillsborough County. And so everybody that may have moved to Pasco worked in Pinellas or Hillsborough or somewhere else. And over the last 5 years, I've seen a dramatic change, a great change for Pasco County, not only because of your leadership, but because of someone like Dan Biles, who came in here and with wonderful servant leadership and allowed people to do their job. And I found out that that's the way to do things in our county. The jobs that have been created, the businesses have come in here through your leadership and also because of Mr. Biles. We're no longer that stepchild. We're no longer the bedroom community, as people used to laugh at us. The people would move here and then work somewhere else. Pasco County is now leading the way. And I just want to thank Dan. I know this is his last meeting. I know that he's going to be moving on. Thank you for the great work that you did for our county. I wish you were not leaving because of what you've done here. It has helped a lot of people. The growth, the managed growth. You know, when I came down here, there was no managed growth. They built a road. They built a home. Today it's different, and it's because of people like Dan and his team that have made Pasco County a better place to live, work, and I guess you can say play as well. The communities that are being built are well managed. The roads, I think of Ridge Road, the Ridge Road extension. Every year in the legislature, I used to put the money in the budget, just in case Ridge Road got to the Suncoast, so we'd have the turnoff there, if you will, the exit. Finally, DOT said to me, listen, Fasano, this ain't going to happen, so please don't put it in the budget any longer. But it did happen under Dan Biles' leadership. And it's things like that that make us so very proud. And Dan, I wish you the best, and I thank you for everything. God bless you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Next.
I'm going to go back up to Arnie Beckett to see if he's here now. If not, then that's all that are signed up in person, and I do have one person on WebEx.
All right, let's go to WebEx.
Do you want to see if there's anybody else?
Yeah, and anyone else after the WebEx that's here and wants to speak will have an opportunity.
Okay.
Just want to keep them hanging on.
No problem.
Hanging on.
Okay, so 3 had originally signed up to be here via WebEx, and only 1 is in queue. Melissa Horn, you are unmuted, so if you could please state your name, address, and then you may begin your comments.
4 Janita Drive in Hudson. I wanted to talk about the approval that's on the agenda, TR 220873 for the golf carts, phase 2 in our community. That is a wonderful thing that was done with phase 1, and so I hope that you would approve phase 2.
What community?
Hudson.
Okay.
So includes Harbor State, those that want to go to Get Hooked by golf cart, and also portions of Sea Pines. I had one more item that I wanted to ask about, was the maintenance on the canals. I know this has been an ongoing issue. I moved here in 2017. It was up for topic then. It's still up for topic now. The last indication I knew, there was a report that was going to be published, I believe, in June. I haven't seen anything about it or if that was actually concluded, so I wanted to get an update on that as well.
Okay. Someone will get with you.
And that's all.
That's all that I have.
Okay. Does anyone here wish to speak to the Board of County Commissioners? Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda. I have a lot of items pulled, and I'll read them off, and then Commissioner, I think you had another one that you wanted to pull? All right, so we have C12, pull and revise by Mr. Pitos, C16 by Mr. Cook, pull and revise. Commissioner Mariano has pull and discuss on C39, C65, C66, C67. Keith Wiley has pull and revise on 83, C83. Someone has withdrawn C30. Does it matter? I don't have a name.
Heather Wolf.
Heather?
Heather Wolf.
Which one?
C30.
C30. I didn't have a name. I think we probably need that for the record. And then I have Mariano C61. No. Yeah, C61, is that a pull and revise, discuss?
Just a recusal.
Abstention.
It's what?
Abstention.
Oh, abstention?
voting on that.
Okay, and Commissioner?
I would like to pull C27 to pull and discuss.
So we will pull C27. I'll take a motion to approve the rest.
But just, wait just one
One
moment.
moment.
I have a message that says C39 is to be withdrawn. Is that correct?
Yes,
Or is
that's
that a
correct.
typo? C39? Do we know who's
39.
39?
39.
Okay.
And who's that? It's pull and,
That's withdrawn.
Just withdraw.
It'll come back.
and do I have to have a name for the record?
Put mine down.
Who's that, who's requesting?
That's the one that Commissioner Mariano had pulled for
Oh.
discussion. Staff has
It's-
decided
Oh,
to
I
withdraw.
It's just withdrawn, okay. So we will,
Thank you.
so that is a withdraw. Okay, let's amend that, let's make a motion again.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll go to C12.
Hey, Commissioner, you want to do the resolutions first?
Oh, we're doing the resolutions first?
So quickly.
Sorry, not following my script. Okay, we have RS1.
All right. Is anyone here for the Sarcoma Cancer Center? Please, come up to the podium, please. You're the lone wolf up here? All right. I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution number 22-169, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring the month of July as Sarcoma Awareness Month in Pasco County and celebrating Moffitt Cancer Center's dedicated work to find a cure. Whereas sarcoma is a rare, hard-to-detect cancer of bones or connective tissues such as nerves, muscles, joints, fats, and blood vessels that can arise nearly anywhere in the body. Even in its advanced stages, sarcoma can easily avoid detection and diagnosis. Due to this difficulty, sarcoma is known as the forgotten cancer. And whereas more than 70 subtypes of sarcoma have been identified, each with their own symptoms, prognosis, and recommended treatment paths. And whereas sarcoma accounts for 1% of adult cancers and 15 to 20% of childhood cancers in the United States. It is estimated that 17,100 people in the United States will be diagnosed with sarcoma in 2022, and at any one time, more than 50,000 patients and their families are struggling with sarcoma. And whereas July is nationally recognized as Sarcoma Awareness Month in order to raise understanding and encourage further research of this cancer. And whereas Moffitt Cancer Center has a sarcoma program specializing in the evaluation and treatment of more than 50 unique sarcoma subtypes. And whereas Moffitt Cancer Center has one of the most advanced and specialized sarcoma programs in the United States and accepts nationwide physician referrals for adult and pediatric sarcoma patients, as well as patients who require further diagnostic testing to either confirm or rule out a sarcoma diagnosis. And whereas through a multi-specialty team of experts, the sarcoma program at the Moffitt Cancer Center offers the latest advancements in sarcoma treatment, including molecular targeted therapeutics, complex reconstruction surgeries, experimental vaccines and immunotherapies, non-invasive expandable limb implants, and limb salvage surgeries. And whereas Moffitt Cancer Center has a robust clinical trial program that gives patients the opportunity to be among the first to access and benefit from innovative therapies that help to improve the standard of care and create better outcomes for sarcoma patients. And whereas the experts working at Moffitt Cancer Center work tirelessly to research, understand, and treat their patients suffering from different types of sarcoma. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the month of July as Sarcoma Awareness Month in Pasco County and celebrates the dedicated work of Moffitt Cancer Center and their commitment to finding a cure. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 12th day of July, 2022.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you so much for being here today. We have some beautiful framed resolutions for you, but we would love for you to talk to us about the cancer that you hear about.
Thank you for the privilege of the podium. My name is Ricardo Gonzalez, and I'm flanked by Brenda and one of our patient volunteers. So on behalf of Ken and all of our patients, the privilege to be here is really heartfelt. This accounts for about 1% of all cancers. It is truly a rare malignancy. Pasco County is growing to be a 600,000 population here pretty soon. 450 rough are going to be stricken by cancer per year. We're here to serve Pasco County and its people, and it's truly a privilege to be here. We are trying very hard to cure this cancer every day. We raise money to be able to do research, fundamental research, to try to get this done. And one day we will get this done for all of them. So thank you again for the privilege to be here.
Well, I can speak for this board that we're very excited about our relationship with Moffett and what is coming in the future, and that Pasco County and Florida, will be one of the leaders in the country, if not the world, on cancer research, and we will be finding those cures, maybe here in Pasco County.
Gotcha.
Madam Chair, just real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to thank each and every one of you, obviously, for everything you do, and thank you for being a citizen volunteer yourself, sir. We all know cancer's touched all of our lives, some personally, but some with friends and families. I actually had a friend that was at Moffitt yesterday for 10 hours having surgery to have a tumor removed. Thankfully, things look good. But we are excited about you coming to Pasco County and about the new projects that will be coming, because it's not only going to affect the people that live here at Pasco County, it's going to be beneficial to people all over the world, because people all over the world, as you know, come to Moffitt because you're world-renowned. So anything we can do to continue to support you, we are here for you, and we appreciate it. And I am thankful, too. I wish I could have been there a week ago when you invited me to come to the lab for the tour. My legislative aide, Andy Taylor, was able to go. I was on vacation where I would have been there. So I look forward to rescheduling and coming myself sometime. But again, thank each and every one of you, because you've touched so many lives, and without you, unfortunately, people wouldn't be here today.
Yes, I'd like to say something. I've been a volunteer since my wife passed away. I've multiple myeloma, but it all started 14 years ago when I had stage 4 in my back of my tongue. That's why my voice is a little weird. But I want to say one thing. We should be very proud to have a clinic and research center like Moffitt. If it wasn't for Moffitt 14 years ago, I would not be standing here today. Because 14 years ago, stage 4 was not a good position to be in.
That's right.
And I also just got done with prostate. So cancer seems to follow me a little bit. Otherwise, we should be happy that we have Moffitt here in Florida, and it helps everybody in the U.S. and world.
That's right. God bless you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you. All right, we're going to come down and take a photo. And I see Jamie's here, so got to say hi to you. All right. So there's someone here, Joanna, there's someone here that wishes to still address it? with dogs, you said? Okay, we're gonna open this back up. Someone's,
Public comment?
yes.
Okay.
Oh, boy, that's one of those good-looking ones.
Diabetic alert dogs for me. They,
Name and address for the record, please.
pardon?
Your name and address.
Oh, it's Arnold Becken, 9250 Kenton Road on King Lake East.
Oh, okay.
I have 25 acres there. I bought the property and moved up there in 1980 with my family. And my daughter grew up, and we both ended up having to leave because the traffic was so dense with the development, but no roads, that we couldn't get to work on time. Literally, I was in charge of drinking water for 33 years in Hillsborough County government, served at the commission's discretion. My issue is that I still own the property. I would still like to live there. And I've been having flooding on the property as a result of lack of drainage that existed when I bought the property. And basically, the property's value has been diminished sorely. I have 3 wells on the property, one of which has been inundated by the floodwaters as a result of inadequate drainage with the new development. We used to have a channel next door to me that went over into the field that I heard may be developed as a roadway. And Tyndall Road also had drainage. And that has all changed. And now, whenever there's heavy rain, it does damage. My one well has been inundated, cost me $4,000 to have that well installed and have it elevated enough so that it would never be inundated. And this is just a result of the development that's occurred. So I really appreciate it. This is going to be, I'm going to need long-term care when the diabetes, which I've had for 52 years, is type 1. And I realize that I'm going to have long-term care, but it's not available to someone who's had diabetes since a child. So I appreciate anything that can be done to look into the drainage situation. My neighbors up there, they've had a whole lot of property damage done, whole walkways taken out. I used to fish on the lake all the time, and the fish club at the north end of the lake had a private staff gauge on the lake, and we monitored that. And Johnny, you can't park. It's Johnny Cash. So the value of the property has been diminished, and I know this can be remedied by providing adequate drainage for the new development. And I appreciate anything you can do.
Like my grandkids down there.
He's an ear, nose, and throat specialist. He cleans her ears. Thank you very much.
So,
Yes.
2 of your neighbors were here.
Yes.
And they spoke with Mike Carbala, so I'm sure we are gonna
I saw
get a
him
team
in the
together
hall.
and come out and take a look at your issue.
If you would do that, I'd appreciate it very much. I need the value of the property to
And
remain.
that's Commissioner Oakley's district.
Yeah.
So
Is
I'm
that
sure he'll
okay?
be with you guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Bye, Johnny Cash.
Which one's Johnny
Yeah,
Cash?
which one? Make sure you walk the line.
All right, we're gonna move on to the pulled items.
We have another resolution, resolution number 2.
Is that the one that's at 11:30?
No.
Oh,
There's
that's 2.
There's one for Parks and Rec.
Sorry about that. Okay,
All right, if you are here for Parks and Rec, please come up to the podium.
wow, in a suit.
Yes. Oh, look, there they are.
Who is that right there?
Well, I'll go ahead and read the resolution, but before I do, I just want to say I love our parks, so thank
Yep,
you.
me too.
Love our parks. Okay, resolution number 22-168, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring the month of July as Parks and Rec Month.
Nice.
Whereas the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Departments, programs, and facilities are essential services that enhance our quality of life by providing a balance of athletic, social, cultural, and recreational opportunities, building self-esteem, teaching life skills, encouraging environmental awareness, and providing public spaces for every citizen to enjoy. And whereas Pasco County's park, recreation, natural resources facilities support tournaments and special events that boost our economy, enhance property values, attract new business, and increase tourism. And whereas the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department provides a diverse inventory of facilities, fields, preserves, and conservation areas, as well as campsites, ramps for water access, beach areas, picnic areas, playgrounds, and swimming pools for the public to enjoy. And whereas the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department maintains and manages facilities to help build strong communities, support family unity, and strengthen neighborhood involvement. And whereas our parks, trails, and blueways showcase ecological beauty, provide space to enjoy nature, help maintain clean air and water, and protect wildlife. And whereas recreational and outdoor activities, therapeutic recreation, special needs summer camps, inclusive programming, and leisure education are essential to the well-being and rehabilitation of countless individuals in our community. And whereas the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department oversees 37 park locations and more than 20,000 acres of park land and open space. And whereas the local and state parks maintained by the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department are vital to the well-being and quality of life of every citizen and visitor of Pasco County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares July as Parks and Recreation Month in Pasco County and celebrates and dedicates the work of the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 12th day of July 2022.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yeah, that was nice.
So Dan's right. I would like on the national scale to maybe move this to walk-up music. That's good. Maybe this would be better to be celebrated in October or maybe November, but it is July. So on behalf of the department, I just want to thank the board for their continued support. Mr. Biles, Ms. Pearson, OMB, everyone. I've seen tremendous amount of support in my position. And again, I just want to thank everyone. What you all do is amazing. It enhances the quality of life, and you are supported and recognized. So thank you.
You know, as all the commissioners up here know, that when we had the recession and we had to slash our budgets, yours and libraries took it. And you were one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the state per capita as far as funding.
We're climbing.
And so really glad to see that you're climbing out of that hole. And I think COVID showed us all how important our parks are to our sense of well-being.
We don't give up.
Right, so I built some trails with that gentleman over there.
Thank you again.
Yeah, so we're very committed to making sure we have the best parks department in the state, so thanks for all you do.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say, your team, Keith, does a phenomenal job, has for the years, even the down years, when we didn't have the funding because of the cuts we had to make and all. I couldn't be so proud when we got the money back in and started funding you guys again. And whether you have impact fee needs that are gonna come up that we're gonna get behind, or other projects coming in, the Go Bond, I think the people showed you how much they appreciate every bit you do. So every bit that you do is reflected in the support you're getting. So please keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And I need a tour of the new softball complex.
Yeah,
We can schedule that.
Yeah. Congratulations, y'all. I mean, you're amazing, and I've had the opportunity to work with many of you, and it's greatly appreciated. I'm only here for a few more months, but I know that you will continue on with all the great work you've been doing. I remember back, before I was elected, Chair Starkey and I were up in Tallahassee, and we were looking at one of the parks up there.
Cascade, yeah.
Parks up there, and, and she was talking about, this is, we want to do things like this and make Pasco a premier and stuff. But you guys are getting, that's what you guys are doing. I mean, things are amazing now, is incredible. So again, we think about a great place to live, work, and play. Play is very important to us. And be able to spend time with your loved ones and your friends and congregate in areas like the expansion of Wesley Chapel District Park, for example, with the new indoor facility.
It's in your
there.
district now.
Yeah, oh, it is in my district
Yeah.
now, isn't it? She
Right.
always reminds me of that. It wasn't before, but now it is.
It is.
But every park is for everybody, and for all the citizens of Pasco County. We're all supportive, but again, it's not, people forget, it's not just for kids, right? I mean, the trails are for people of all ages. The areas that you can congregate, like we mentioned, the new Western Temple District Park, there's people doing, sewing classes and woodworking classes and all these types of cool things. So it's for, young and senior alike. But we appreciate you, and I'll miss work with you down the road, but keep it on.
Commissioner Oakley.
Yes, your job that you do is just awesome. I mean, our citizens are so proud of the parks and all that we have that you work on. During COVID, you redid a lot of places because some of the play was not going on. Y'all were able to uplift those parks and fields and things that need to be done. But they tell me every time you turn around that another one needs to be done. So it's like your job's never done, but it is a great thing, and you keep up with the premier quality parks that Pasco County citizens are able to enjoy because of you. So we appreciate everything that y'all do. Thank you.
Can you talk about the T-shirt that you were holding up?
I will if Commissioner
Yeah,
Fitzpatrick.
after your comments.
Thank you. I am very proud of the Parks Rec and Natural Resource team for everything that you do. I'm very excited Pasco is becoming a premier county, and you are truly setting that premier standard for our parks throughout our entire county. I'm very excited about that. And of course, Pine Hill started, if the rain didn't delay it, to start to get renovated yesterday.
Yes,
So I'm very excited. The all-inclusive playground should be built in the next couple months, so that's so exciting. And it is extremely important that we do focus and invest in our youth, because we need to pave the pathway for them so they can have a better and improved quality of life, so we can lead them in the right direction. So thank you again for everything that you do.
Thank you. So I think we have a shirt for all of you, and Dan, we have one going away present for you too. So this is just an example of one of the programs that we created. It's Pasco Outdoor Adventures, and it's for, Commissioner Moore, it's for adults, it's for youth. And the idea there is that if you don't have a mountain bike or you don't have a canoe or kayak, we have one. All you need to do is register for the program. We'll take you on a mountain bike, a trail with someone that can at least show you how not to fall off, maybe for, 5 or 10 minutes. And it's probably, I think right now, trending is one of our more popular programs, but it's a great example of when you let folks, when you get out of the way and you let people that are really passionate about what they do come up with ideas, they can be innovative. They come up with this stuff. And, we could say, well, maybe this is an outfitter's job, or maybe this is someone else's responsibility. But what it's done is it's created an opportunity for access to recreation that some folks, maybe they can't afford a $500 or $600 or a $2,000 bike, so it gives them that opportunity. So yeah, we got shirts for everyone. I'd encourage you to look at the reservations online, and who knows, maybe if you wanted to sign up, you could sign up. So it's there and available for you. But again, I appreciate all the support. I know the team does, and we're just going to continue to do the best that we can do. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you very much. All right, let's go down and, who's got the,
Well, there's so many, we may better stay up.
Yeah, we're gonna stay up here. Christina, you can go down to your resolution, and we'll stand up.
Just right over there. Just right over there.
Need a few over there.
It's a little light on the side.
Tall ones to the left, short ones to the right.
Oh, that's funny.
That's exactly how
They are lined up that way.
I swear to God, it's cheaper than I thought about it.
Great job, guys.
Thank you. It's a lingering very tickled, but I feel great. Thanks. Okay.
So that one's at 11:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep
We're
me
ready to
straight.
go now to.
I'm in the fog. Fog of like coughing.
All right, so we're ready for, we didn't go through the, we didn't go through these.
No, yeah, we're going through the poll.
Yep.
Okay, C12. I don't have it, even though that's in my test. Okay, we're on C12, and that is Mr. Pitos. Full and revise.
Morning, Madam Chair. Nectarios Pitos, Planning and Development, item C12. It's a landscaping reimbursement from 2021. The item is pulled and revised to update the motion to include the amount and the budget amendment journal number 944.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see these things going on and want to see more of them. All right, I'll take a motion.
So moved. As revised.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, passes. We are on to C16.
Good morning, board members. Andrew Baxter, Facilities Management Director. C16 is being pulled and revised to add the exhibits which failed to upload in our Civic Clerk system. They're now distributed and recommend approval.
Madam Chair,
yep.
You might need to pull this, but just wanted a quick statement. This project is so very important, as you probably all know. The widening of Wesley Chapel Boulevard, I mean, long time coming. It's moving forward, but at the same time, obviously, the team needs to be able to gain the right of way to be able to widen Wesley Chapel Boulevard. So thanks for all your work. I know I was working close with Ms. Spiritos too on some of these areas, some of these projects, and trying to work with some landowners, because if we don't have the land, we're not going to widen it. So for those watching at home, if you don't give up the land, and I know you want the road widened, you're not going to get it widened.
Do we have
very
some
important.
holdouts?
We're pretty good right now. I think we've crossed the fence, haven't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it really is a team effort, thanks to the
Yeah.
county attorney's office and our project management office. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Good, because
approving
I wish
this.
that'd been done years ago.
I agree. They've worked hard. It's been challenging at times. So move for approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you got it. All right, I'm going to jump down to C27, staying in order.
Yep, that's me as well.
And
Andrew
that-
Baxter, Facilities
Okay.
Management Director. So this was a poll to discuss.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to our Board of County Commissioners, and I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update with the 4 fire stations that are being built, the new fire stations, because we have Station 9 that is at the Suncoast near 50 and 52, which should be completed in August, so I'm very excited. We're going to have 2 new units out on the road. We have Station 3 that is now out to bid at Majestic, and Station 2 and 4 are in the design and will be going out to bid after the design phase. So I would like to say thank you for moving those right along. And then also for the 5 rebuilds, we have Station 17 that should be completed in about November.
Yeah, this fall. Late fall. Yes, ma'am.
So, and that's where we're going to be having 2 12-hour peak ambulances, so that's very exciting. One of them will be housed at that location. We have Station 20, that we're about to accept, and it should be going out to construction within the next couple of months. Station 18 is out to bid. Station 19, we're just working on that land acquisition, and Station 22 would be last. And then once those are all out to bid and the bids are closed, we'll be moving forward to building the training station. So I'm very excited about that. I want to say thank you for moving all the projects right along. And then lastly, the training tower should be delivered in the next month or so, and it will be put into place in November. So I would like to just let everyone know where we are in that process, and then I would like a motion to approve.
So just so everyone knows, C-27 is the award of bid to Blackwater Construction Services for the construction of fire rescue station number 20. Is there a second?
Second, just a little more discussion too?
Sure.
Yeah, I thought about pulling this, but I didn't want to slow it down at all. I'm going to talk about bid prices coming up on 65, 66 coming up, but I'm glad to see it's moving forward as well. It's very important. Thank you.
Okay.
Call for vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, it passes.
Thank you.
Then we have, if I'm going in order, I have C-39 is withdrawn. Then we have C-61 is also withdrawn, is that correct?
No, it's not withdrawn. It's just, I'm just going to recuse. I'm gonna
Okay,
abstain from
C-30,
voting.
I'm sorry, C-30 is withdrawn. And then we have, so now we're back up to C-61. Did I miss one? Trying to stay in order.
We did
Number
30,
four.
39, 65, 66, that's what it says.
Well, I'm going in order down the
Or did somebody
agenda.
else pull the other one?
So we've got C-30 is withdrawn. We did C-27, C-39. Yeah, what's C?
It's withdrawn.
C-61 is withdrawn?
No, 39 is withdrawn, 61's next.
Oh, I'm sorry, it says withdrawn on my form. Okay, 61.
So 61, I only pulled it just to abstain from voting.
I'm out of space.
I pulled C-61 just so I can abstain from voting on it.
Both
on the property in
60
the
and
area, so
61.
Just an abundance of caution, I'm just not going to vote, but.
Did you say you pulled C-60 as well?
61.
61. All right, 165?
No,
No,
61.
sorry. I'll take a motion on 61
So
with
moved.
Commissioner Mariano
Second.
abstaining. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, so C-65.
So C-65, I pulled this one, and actually 66 goes along with it, in a sense, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Can we pull two at once?
Well, I'm just going to do 65, I'm just saying
You can
that
have
they're both
general
related.
discussion on more than one, yes.
So
Right.
C-65 was a sole bidder. The bids came out $1.3 million higher than expected. I didn't like the fact we just only had one bid. The previous fire station, we did have at least 4 bids on there, so you knew you had something going on it. When I look at just one bid, it kind of scares me a bit to go with that one number. The thing that scares me more is when we look at C-66 coming behind it, Swift Mud, at this point in time, does not agree to fund it to the match, which means we'd get stuck with it. If I knew Swift Mud was going to be okay to match it, I'm okay to pass both of them. But at this point in time, we don't have that guarantee.
Well, there's a reason why Swift Mud is only going to match up to so far. I don't know if the county administrator wants to talk about it, or you want me to talk about it? Okay, so when we go out to bid, when we go for cooperative funding, we give them a price, and by the time we've had some delays, and by the time it gets out on the market, the costs have gone up. And Swift Mud will no longer fund any more than what we went to for cooperative funding from the original ask. So I'm going to suggest that we keep moving forward.
Yeah, this is one where the market's just playing against us.
Yeah.
You know, on the civil side, the drainage stuff, there's not a lot of competition in the market right now. They are all got more work than they know what to do with.
Yeah, I'd like to see it go forward.
Well, I would too, but I think we need to work with our legislators to rechange that policy. Matter of fact, I still think we should send a letter to ask them, because of these circumstances that are beyond our control, beyond the state's control, that they match the extra money coming up in the future. It's a bad policy for us, because we can't go back on a project that is so desperately needed for that area.
Mr. Carballa.
Mike Carballa, Assistant County Administrator, Public Infrastructure. Swift Mud in Branford, I believe, is online too, and he can provide even more detail. That is their current board's policy, and that is how they have addressed every project, at least since I've been with the county. In fact, we've seen erosion in those dollars because they have limited their risk exposure, if you will, and that's how they look at it with projects going over budget. We can certainly go back and address it, but I would not hold out high hopes of them approving an increase, because they, like us, budget these numbers one fiscal year in advance. And so they're not going to be looking to necessarily add another $500,000 or $1 million back to their numbers. That I'm just being realistic on that. I mean, we can certainly do that, but it will delay the project and possibly kick us into another funding cycle.
So I don't want to delay the project. However, I do want a letter sent to them and our state legislatures and the governor saying to address this problem, because we can't be dealing with having this problem. And the state's got so much money that we just vetoed through the past session. There's probably more money they could find to actually put more money into SWIFT to go fund these things. We get, and part of the reason I pulled it was, you know, we got stuck with this Tim Brogue's property years ago. Well, they didn't want to value the property to what we thought the value was. And even though the thing was submitted, we get stuck with about 600 grand. I don't want to be stuck with that again. So much as we do need to get this done, and I'll support it going forward, I want a letter going out requesting from our legislators and our governor to go look at this issue.
We can certainly draft something to the chair if that's what the board
I'm
likes.
gonna guess we're not the only county they're doing this to. I mean, obviously, this has gotta be a,
SwiftMud's cooperative funding process is moving more towards regional type projects. And
Yeah.
they've said this, so I mean, they are kind of getting away from the smaller flood abatement type projects. That's just the nature of the cooperative funding, because they also have infrastructure that they need to reinvest in, and so their dollars are becoming limited. This is based on my discussions with their staff.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
And I think I'm correct in this. Mr. Gabal is correct in his statements as well. But this isn't just, we say SwiftMud, it's the water management district's policies across the state, across the whole
I don't know. I don't know what the other ones are.
I do not know what the other water management districts do. I know that our water management district has a more robust cooperative funding program.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying, but I mean, I don't want to put the heat on SwiftMud because it's just their policy. I mean, if you look at state, so if you want to, maybe moving forward and having conversations with the legislators or something like that would be appropriate to look at all the water management districts, not just SwiftMud. I just don't want to say that SwiftMud's giving us the shaft.
All right, let's say this then. I'm going to make a motion to approve 65 and 66 in a minute, but let's have another discussion with this, because this is something we need to discuss. We'll talk about the legislators before we send the letter out.
Yeah.
So
You'll need separate motions.
right. So I'm going to approve C65.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. C-66.
Move approval C66.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Commissioner Mariano and members of the board, you know, I served for 6 years on the PA Basin Board, one of the, what is there, 5 or 6 boards that SwiftMud had that handled the cooperative funding projects. My husband served 7 years on there before me, and Dewey Mitchell served before my husband.
Basin
And
Board, right?
The Basin Board,
Basin
and I
Board.
can tell you that every year when I would drive down to approve our cooperative funding budget, which was, when I started, it was $25 million a year, just for the PA Basin, which is like Connerton, Southwest Pasco, starting like in the Connerton area, Southwest Pasco, and all of Pinellas. We didn't have any cooperative projects. All our money was going to Pinellas County, because we didn't have the matching money. And it wasn't until maybe my last 2 years that we got a utility fee, and we were able to have some money to do cooperative funding. So it really frustrates me that when we started getting some money to be able to do cooperative funding, they got rid of the basin boards. They went to this more regional funding policy, and we kind of missed the boat. So a lesson there, little history. All right, C-67.
C67, I pulled this one here. Now, I talked to Greg Armstrong just yesterday, matter of fact, about the agreement that they had initially, where they were going to be able to put out advertising signs, which Commissioner Stark, you and I were actually going to do one together as well, and go put signs out there to get advertising dollars to go pay for the landscaping that was going to have to be put onto the county. And they had the agreement they thought in place. They worked on the signs, they ordered the signs, and then DOT pulled the agreement and said, we're not going to let you go put signs out there. Well, that killed all the funding that was going to go take care of the signs. So my opinion is, if DOT is not going to allow us that agreement to stay in place where we can get the funding by the private citizens or the businesses that would accomplish it, then we should ask DOT at this point to have them to go fund it. one of the two, because part of our agreement to take it was that this agreement was in place by the business community that wanted to see it happen. So the landscaping looks great. It did fall behind on maintenance because of the same issue, so I think we need to address it, but I think we need to bring this to FDOT to try to get the funding back in place where they take care of the maintenance, at least doing a sharing of the cost.
I think that'd be a real uphill battle to set a precedent like that. That would be, I'd want to put on every other road in the county if I could. But I do think this landscaping project has been so important to the west side of the county. And the return on this investment, I think, is really big. And the citizens love it.
Yeah.
And I get contacted when a palm tree dies or the weeds are too high in my office, for sure. I drove up US 19 all the way to Hernando County the other day, and I saw the new plantings coming in. Looks really good. I think this is a really important project, and maybe we still see if we can work with DOT to see if we can get sponsorship. I think the issue was the signs and the safety of the signs, but I'm more than happy to talk to them. I just don't feel very hopeful.
Well, again, I want to bring this out too, so we can talk about it as a board. We can't talk with each other, obviously, with Sunshine Law, but I will say from what I heard, there's 3 other areas that had agreements as well with DOT that having the same struggle. So we won't be fighting this alone.
Yeah, and well, maybe it's
a
a change in philosophy for the whole state, and we work with them to get funding so they can do this in other places, because I'd love to see 54 landscape. And, but the minute you put, for the public, the minute you put landscaping in a DOT right away, you have to take over the maintenance. And so, I think we should talk about that when we're in Tallahassee, or with Secretary Quinn.
Yep, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
real quick. I spent some time, it's been like, I think Andy was been, what, 2 years ago now, right? Probably 2 years ago. Rode around with Secretary Gwynn and other members of, team members at DOT, and around 54 Wesley Chapel Boulevard. Really concerned about the 54 exit there on Wesley Chapel Boulevard at 54. But we work close with them, and that's why that landscape is there now. If you see all the landscaping they put in, yeah, we actually got them to do that, and they were very willing to do it. When it came to the medians, like you spoke about, you can put in requests for that, and they're willing to look at it. That's just kind of at the bottom of their priority list, because we were asking if they would be willing to put some, at least to a certain extent, off the interchange. You know, I think we still may have that opportunity to do it. It just, you know, it's what they have in their budget. But, so they're not opposed to it, per se, from what they told me. It just, do they have the funding or not?
So I think when they put the, so a certain portion of every road construction job has to go to landscaping. It might be 1%. If you don't ask for it, you don't get it. And before, if you remember, before Commissioner Moore was on here, when we had meetings with the Turnpike, we had nothing at 52 and 54 and the Suncoast. So we kind of talked to them about building this up. And of course, when they're done with the renovations, we'll get more. But the issue is the medians. You put a tree, we put those trees on 41, we took ownership of mowing under the trees. And I don't think that's a good policy of theirs, but.
Yeah, because they're not opposed to doing it, like you said.
No, you can put it in, you just have to mow it.
Yeah, you maintain it.
Yeah.
Mike Cabala has it in his budget, who said he'll do it.
We're gonna work on that. Okay,
I'm
so.
I'm just teasing with you, Mike.
Commissioner Mariano, do you want to make a motion on
Move to
C67?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? C83. What are you coming up here with?
Good morning, Keith Wiley, Director of Parks, Recreation, Natural Resources. We had to update the attachment that showed the candidates' letters of intent. We had some duplicates, so we just had to clean that list up.
Okay, so, yeah, I mentioned to Keith that there was one gentleman's application multiple times. I haven't looked since you changed it. Did you add other people's applications? Or?
No, it was just, we just basically had to remove those duplicates, basically.
Okay. And for everyone's edification, would you mind repeating again what the process was? So everybody knows how this group, these groups.
Specifically about The committee?
came to us, yeah.
The process, all right, so we worked with the Civic Association to put out basically an advertisement requesting individuals or residents within the MSBU to be interested in serving on the advisory committee. Per the MSBU, that appointment will last till this November. So for 2 months, we collected names, letters of intent, along with resumes, and we made a selection staff made a selection, the team made a selection based on what we thought individuals in terms of experience would be best suited to help us develop policies and procedures for the MSBU moving forward. So that was the process in itself, and we'll be back here in November trying to figure out what we do for another reappointment or an extension.
So just to say I stayed out of it, although I did ask one person who lives in there, Rob Wright, if you guys know Bobby Wright, he was the head of FDC. He had offered to design the park for free, so I thought, let's get him on the committee. So I asked him to put his name in. But after that, the Parks Department was totally autonomous in selecting these. And I know if there's anyone listening, there were people who wanted to be on here, but if you didn't submit correctly, you didn't even make it to the short list.
Correct.
Right?
So we did ask for an actual resume, and in some cases, and you see in the background, individuals may have submitted a letter of intent via email, but they didn't submit either the application itself through the county's website or a resume. So in that instance, those individuals were not selected because the team didn't have any background to make a decision off of.
And you said that in November, we're gonna do it again?
Yeah, so yes, correct. The county attorney, we had made the request to make it effective for, once the board appoints this group, to make it effective for 1 year, but the county attorney's office's recommendation was per the MSBU. It had to follow the language in the MSBU, which would be, I think, the effective date of when the MSBU was adopted, so we have till November, and then we're gonna have to revisit this issue then.
Okay, so with that, if no one has any other questions, I'll take a motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you
you.
very much. And we are on to what are we on to? R84. What's my book? All right, R84, discussion of the street parking ordinance. Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's been let me pull my notes out, I apologize. Obviously, it's been a couple of years since we've really had this discussion, and so I wanted to bring it back up again. I'm getting, and I don't know if you guys are, but I hate to call them complaints, concerns from quite a few residents throughout the county when it comes to on the street parking. And I know we were going to get back to this at some point, but other things obviously took precedent to that. So I just really wanted to have that discussion today. Right now, we don't allow it. If you're going to have any type of gathering, as you know, you have to get a permit for it.
But that's in your development?
No, we're not talking about.
We're talking about countywide.
Talking about countywide. It's county ordinance. So before you got here,
But I'm in the county and I
meant before
live
you.
in an area
Yeah.
that has parking on the street.
No?
Yeah.
Mr. Steinsteiner would probably jump in and let.
There
If
are,
you're-
there's
maybe
no
if you're-
HOA.
Longleaf does.
If you're in an HOA or something like that,
I'm
that's
not.
a private street. Well, let me just keep going for a
Okay,
minute.
go ahead.
Let me continue on just for a minute, so. And I can let Mr. Steinsteiner can explain the current ordinance if he so pleases before how about before I get in the weeds, you go ahead and explain the ordinance to my fellow board members. Or maybe we're not here, we had the discussion before.
So you have
I know what you're saying.
designated by zoning restriction in MPUDs, no parking on streets in almost every MPUD that's been adopted. There are areas of the county that were never designated no parking. The streets were wide enough, they were old enough, and you're allowed to park on the street. If it is a designated no parking area, the ordinance kicks in and says it's a violation to park on the street. And Commissioner Moore is correct that most modern residential subdivisions have something in them that says that you can't park on the street. That is generally because the streets in more recent MPUDs, I'll say the last 15 years, the streets have had alternate standards to be reduced, or they have, the approval of the MPUD has allowed for a narrow street. I think Commissioner Moore had told me his is 24 feet wide, but there are many that are 20 feet wide. And if you start parking on both sides of a 20-foot wide street, you have issues getting fire service equipment through their streets, not to mention a single-family residential car has difficulty getting through, or if you've got a RV. So the general rule for most modern residential subdivisions is they do not allow parking on the street. That's by the zoning restrictions.
So where would I find that information, States of Fort King? Because they park in the street all the time.
Well, Commissioner Moore's about to talk about that.
So you would find it in the covenants and restrictions, the zoning approval that was issued by this board when that project came through.
Okay.
But explain the initial, and this happened even before I think any of us were here, the ordinance that took place previous. Maybe Commissioner Mariano was here. I don't know. Maybe.
Commissioner Mariano predates me, so it's likely that
he predates all of us.
He might have changed versions.
But it was an ordinance enacted by the county over those concerns that you mentioned a second ago.
So your general code of ordinances in section 106 26 basically is authorization to prohibit parking. The Board of County Commissioners may place official signs prohibiting parking upon public roads and right-of-ways, roads dedicated to the public by plat, in county-owned parks, on county-owned property, in other areas under the jurisdiction by passage of a resolution which designates the area where such conduct is prohibited. That's, you occasionally on your consent agenda will see traffic operations bring those resolutions forward to you. The general prohibition in most cases is a zoning regulation. Not, the code of ordinances punishes, but how you got there is when each particular project came through, it was deemed that the roads were too narrow or whatever, and generally it has been a policy of this county that all MPUDs as a general condition prohibit parking on the streets.
So what I was trying to get to, because we had this discussion a couple years ago, was more so of special events and parties and things, but do you really want to, every time you have a few friends over, maybe it's on a whim, to run down to the county office and get a permit because you're going to have 3 extra guests come over to your house? It's just silliness, right? We look at South Tampa allows street parking, right, for example. There's a lot of areas, right? I was talking to a friend the other day. He's from Cleveland, for example. This is, I'm going to get to where I think is a good way to get around this moving forward. For example, everybody knows in Cleveland and outside of Cleveland that you can park on the street, but you can't park on the side of the street where there's fire hydrants. It's known fact. Common sense, right? You park on the other side of the street, you're going to get a ticket, right? Obviously, we don't want people parking on both sides of the street because not only emergency vehicles can't get through, but you might, if you have a wider vehicle, heck, my truck sometimes, I might not be able to get through. I have a motorhome. I know where I live, it's a 24, I measured it, 24 feet wide street there. If there's cars parked on the street, I have no problem, going the other lane and getting my motorhome through. No issue whatsoever. Now, are there some streets that are smaller? Probably. Yes, right? But my thought is, you know, and I want Chief to come up in a minute if he doesn't mind. We'll put him on the spot here. But if we allow it on one side, again, the street that does not have fire hydrants, I think that's the way we need to move forward. I mean, I've got so many people, you know, the majority, I guarantee 95% of the people here in Pasco County do not know that they cannot park on the street. It's very rarely posted anywhere. Very rarely posted anywhere. So the majority of people probably just think you can, you know? I know it's, you know, our responsibility as citizens, if I wasn't sitting on this dais, to understand the laws of the land. But it's, again, when it's not posted, if you go somewhere in certain parts of Tampa, for example, it's gonna say no street parking. You know not to do it. You're gonna get a ticket.
Or no street parking on this side of the
Correct.
street.
Exactly
And I
right.
am in support, and I don't, if other commissioners are willing, I mean, I would say let staff come back to us with some proposals. In many places, on-street parking is used as traffic calming, as a part of a traffic calming device. I know in Longleaf, they had to get special variances, and some streets are narrow, so
Yeah.
some streets have only parking on one side of the street, because you gotta make sure the fire trucks can get through.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be,
Yeah.
so let's have staff come back with a proposal.
Well, so I have a proposal from
Okay.
staff
Oh.
right here, and I appreciate staff bringing this proposal forward when I brought it up to them, but I'm not really fond of the proposal. Because it does say single-sided on-street parking to be allowed, but it said with a minimum of a 25-foot wide
That's kinda
road.
wide.
29.
29, they're stating 29. 24, and Mr. Steinheiser can tell you, is typically the standard width of a road these days. Am I not correct, Mr. Steinheiser?
What I said this morning was, in my experience, 12-foot wide
Lanes,
was the.
total 24, yeah.
Total 24
Mhm.
was the general standard for local subdivision roads.
Right.
Elsewhere outside of Pasco County.
Yeah, we're not gonna find many 29-footers, guys. I'm not sure who's sent this, and I
I've seen
appreciate
some.
it. There's not a lot,
I've seen some massively wide roads.
yeah. Well, I'm not saying there's not some, but the majority.
And then you'll
are
find
not.
speeding on those roads.
Sure. But 24 is fine. I mean, that's, you can easily park on one side and get an engine through, you can get a RV through, you can get a bulldozer through. It's, you know.
So we haven't had a presentation from staff. I think we should. I think that's the way we do an ordinance change.
Oh, yeah, they can bring it. I mean, my thought was just to give them direction, okay, 24 feet and above to allow one side street parking, just not on the side where there's fire hydrants. And obviously we know you can't park on both sides, one side.
I guess I would want to hear from the chief, 24
Yeah.
feet?
What do you think?
Because I don't know the right number. I mean, obviously, we want the number to be that the fire engine can make it down the road and the garbage collector.
Yeah.
We would certainly like to have an opportunity to look at that proposal.
Yeah, I'll work with you.
Yeah, only because where it becomes an issue for us is not getting through the subdivision, for example, when there's no cars there. It's when there are cars there, that leaves only the one lane open, say there was on-street parking.
Right.
We have to pull up and we commit a fire truck to the incident that we're working on. We also need to leave room for other equipment to get past there.
Sure.
So if there's already a vehicle parked along the side of the road, and then we have to come up beside that vehicle and we park, we just effectively shut down that whole road.
Yeah.
So.
Well, which I hope you're going to do if there's a fire anyway.
Well, yes, to the general public we would, but to
Right.
get other equipment that we might need, we need to be able to have that access through there. There are some documents that we use as guidelines to make sure that continues right now. So if we could look at that,
Okay.
we would definitely like to have an opportunity to do that, to provide some input on that.
All right.
Yeah, it was.
I know we have some ideas.
If you go back, and I appreciate, so I'll work with you. We'll talk, and we can talk to some of our friends in Tampa or something as well.
Yeah, I think there's a workaround.
I got a lot of friends over in
Thank you.
city of Tampa
Thank you.
that work in there. 5 years ago, was it 5 years ago? It was 5, I thought it was 3 years ago. We thought it was 5 years ago.
I remember the
Yeah.
discussion.
I mean, there was consensus amongst all 5 of us to get rid of the permits.
Yeah, there are plenty of roads where it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So if they can bring it back, to us. I know, I talked to Sally, so I wasn't expecting you to come up today, so next meeting, this is simple stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna go out of order here, and I'm going, sorry. But because we have a lot of guests here, I want to be sure they're here for number 88 and not have to come back. So we are gonna jump to 88, and then we'll get back to the other stuff.
Good morning. Bob Gregg, Pasco County Budget Director. This morning we'd like to talk about the proposed millage rates for the truth in millage notification that will go out in August. But first we wanted to talk a little bit about the tentative budget that we've got. So on July 1st we did receive the final taxable assessed value for setting the property tax millage rate. On July 1, that was at 16.7%. That was nearly 2% higher than the 14.8% that we received for the preliminary taxable assessed values on June 1st. So that increase of 16.7 generates an additional $42 million in property tax revenue. Once we deduct the contribution to the sheriff of $16.8 million, and then the contribution to the TIF transportation TIF, as well as the CRA, that leaves an additional $21.5 million for the board and other constitutional officers. If we look at the fire MSTU millage, the increase in property tax, taxable assessed value there was 16.8%, and that generates an additional 9.7% for those important fire rescue type of initiatives. So we are, based on that, we are recommending no change to the general operating millage of 7.6076 or the fire rescue MSTU millage of 1.8036 mils. And so with an increase in taxable assessed values of 16.7%, no change in the operating millage. What does that mean for the average taxpayer? And so, as you know, under the Save Our Homes amendment, the taxable assessed value of a homesteaded residence cannot increase by more than 3% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. As we know, inflation is through the roof this year. The rate of inflation that we'll be using for this Save Our Homes amendment is 7%. Therefore, the taxable assessed values of homesteaded properties will not increase by more than 3%. So if you look at our example of a single-family home valued at $150,000, keep in mind this $150,000 is a taxable assessed value. This is not the just value or market value of a home. The market value of a home is going to be much higher than a taxable assessed value. So if you have a taxable assessed value of $150,000 for a homesteaded property, the value of that property will increase $3,000, and that will generate a increase in the tax bill for that particular home of $22.82. That increase in taxes is a result of the increase in the value of the property, not because there was a change in the tax rate. We'll look at that same property. If it's non-homesteaded property, that property cannot increase by more than 10%. So this is a portion of our Save Our Homes law, which we don't normally get into because these property values, the assessed values don't normally increase by more than 10%. However, the taxable value of non-homesteaded properties can't increase by more than 10%. So for that $150,000 home, the taxable assessed value would increase by $15,000, which would generate a tax bill increase of $114.11. So, as we saw on the last slide, there is a limit on the increase in taxable assessed value on existing properties, and that limit or that exemption does not exist for new construction. And so as a result of that, much of the new revenues that are generated come from this new construction. We can see in 2023, the assessed value of new construction jumped more than $600 million between fiscal year 22 and 23. And as a point of fact, the taxable assessed value in 2023 was actually higher than the new construction in 2008 by just about $100 million. So it's very close. So because we can't expect these taxable assessed values from new constructions to be at this level for year over year over year, We are suggesting that we not spend this new additional revenues for new ongoing expenditures, except as they relate to fire rescue. So we are suggesting that we adopt a limited number of new business plan initiatives or new spending for ongoing expenditures, and take the remaining piece of that and invest that into one-time capital investments into our capital improvement process to bring those projects up to speed. So we saw there's an additional $21 million out there. Before we get carried away with all this new money and figure out how we're going to spend it, there are lots and lots of things that we've got to pay with that additional money. One of those things is inflation. If we just look at inflation increasing 8.6% nationally in the Tampa Bay MSA, which we are a part of, inflation is increasing by 11.3%. If we look at fuel, just the cost of fuel alone has increased 38% over the past year. And if we look at those fleet-related expenditures, and that when we talk about fleet-related expenditures, we're talking about fuel and the increased cost in maintenance parts and that kind of thing. Fleet-related expenditures in fire rescue will increase by more than $1 million next year, and that's just for the fire rescue department. It will increase by over $3 million countywide. We're looking at our compensation and classification study. We don't have the final results of that yet, but we're looking at probably a 7% increase in our average compensation. We have Fire Station 3 and as well as Fire Station 9, which are coming online. We need to fund those for a full year. Medical supplies for our rescue units, as we have more and more transportations, as we have more and more rescue units, that line for medical supplies will increase by about $500,000. And then finally, we have normal increases to employee retirement, health care, and those kinds of things. So we are recommending a number of fire rescue enhancements, as we talked about Fire Stations 3 and 9, which are not yet completed. We did partially fund those in fiscal year 22 to allow the fire department to hire the firefighters needed for those stations and begin training them, so when those stations came online, they would be available. We're talking about 2 rescue units, 22 and 226. If we keep in mind that Stations 3 and 9 will also have rescue units, we will be adding 4 full-time rescue units and 4 peak hour rescue units next year. And so that will place an additional 8 ambulances on the street. One thing that's new for you here since we've met last is this life cycle of our vehicles in the fire rescue division. Right now, we would like to reduce the time in which we replace our vehicles. We want to get them kind of back down to the national standard. So right now, we replace our ambulances at every 8 years. We'd like to replace those currently we replace them every 10 years. We'd like to replace them every 8 years. For our engines or pumper trucks, they're currently replaced every 12 years. We'd like to replace them every 10. And then for our aerial and ladder trucks, currently we replace them at 15 years, and we would like to replace those now at 12 years. So business plan initiatives, as you can see, in the general fund and the municipal services fund, which the general fund is supported by that general fund millage rate. We have wage increase for our general employees as well as our firefighters. We're suggesting that we take $1.6 million from the general fund, transfer that to the sheriff's office to allow the sheriff to hire 10 additional deputies. We have 16 business plan initiatives that were approved for the rescue, which is part of the general fund, at a cost of about $6 million. And then you can see the other business plan initiatives here that were approved or were recommending for approval for the other departments. So for example, in code enforcement, there's one business plan initiative which was for hiring an additional 2 code enforcement officers. In animal services, there were actually 2 business plan initiatives to hire animal services officers, so that would be 2 additional animal services officers. If we take a look at the fire MSTU, the initiatives that we're recommending for approval there, as you can see, of course, the wage increase for firefighters that are funded through the fire MSTU. Engine 3 and 9, as we talked about earlier, they were partially funded in fiscal year 22. Of course, they will be coming online and we'll fully fund those for fiscal year 23. The staffing adjustment, this will be hiring an additional 25 firefighters to reduce the mandatory overtime. And then you can see some of the other things here. We look in training and a lot of kind of maintenance on equipment and that kind of thing. So there are proposed additions to fire rescue. We have 65 additional firefighters we are recommending that we add to the fire rescue. If we consider that since fiscal year 2019, this board has added 212 additional firefighters, that plus this 65 would give us nearly 300 firefighters that have been added since 2016. When we superimpose that over the call volume, we can see that the call volume in 2021 increased by 16%. Generally, up until that point, the call volume was increasing at a rate of 3 to 4%. So we don't know if that increase in call volume in 2021 of 16%, was that just a one-time thing because of the pandemic, or is that going to be the new normal? But in either case, we've got to plan as though that increase in call volume is the new normal. And so for that reason, we are recommending those additional 65 employees. Outside funding, so the general fund also must fund organizations outside of the county. And you can see them here, for example, the medical examiner, $1.8 million for autopsies, PEDC, a small increase of that, 6% increase as a result of contractual obligation. United Way, this is not a requirement of the board. However, the board has generously agreed to provide $250,000 a year to United Way. The one new donation on this list is Feeding Tampa Bay, and so we are recommending that we provide $125,000 a year for 2 years to Feeding Tampa Bay to help them build their new facility.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can I jump in real quick? I'm going to assume that Ms. Pearson met with everybody on the Feeding Tampa Bay ask.
Yes.
Yes, no? Okay, because she met with me. I said no. And I mean, that was my vote, I guess you could say, behind the scenes with her. And I'm going to tell you why. Obviously, I think Feeding Tampa Bay is great, and I appreciate everything they do for all the citizens around the Tampa Bay area. At the same time, I have a serious concern about funding a capital project for a building that's in another county. Let me continue.
Okay.
Let me continue. You can fight for it, but let me continue.
I will.
You know, we have not-for-profits that feed people here in Pasco County as well. I would prefer to see those funds possibly going to people here closer to home than I would outside of capital project outside of the county. Now, they were stating they were going to provide so many additional meals in Pasco County that was going to maybe be pushed through one of our local organizations, then I'd probably be more receptive of this. But I don't want to set a precedent of funding capital projects that aren't within our own county. So if an organization comes from Pinellas County or Manatee County, that yes, they may provide services here in Pasco County, but they're not located in Pasco County, so we're going to assist them in building new infrastructure or capital projects. My fear is you're going to set a precedent here, and next year you're going to have 10 other organizations that are going to be lined up outside the door asking you to do something in another county to help build a building because they're saying they're providing services here. Again, appreciate what they do. I think they're a great organization. Don't think we should be building buildings outside of Pasco County.
So this is why I was in support, and I don't know if Kathy wants to talk about it, but the number they asked for was much greater than this.
Well, I know what the number was.
And so the reason I was okay with this number was because we're one of the major recipients of their food program. And so they're storing the food that comes up to be delivered to our nonprofits that distribute to our people. So that's why I'm okay with this small amount. And I hope one day they'll have a facility in Pasco County. But right now, for the region, it's more cost effective to have one big distribution center. I do think they're moving one into Pinellas. I did ask them about one day coming up here, but this doesn't begin to compare to cover the cost of the food they're holding for our citizens. So that's why I was okay with this little amount.
I was in support of it also for the fact that they help a lot of our citizens. I know they do here in East Pasco County every week. And the reason I suggested we do the minimums, because I, like you, I don't necessarily want to build buildings or build roads in other parts, other counties, rather than our own. I'd rather build that here. But I think they give us this much help, and that was a minimum of what we were, or they were asking.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Again, and I appreciate that, and I'm very thankful for them providing services in counties. They are a not-for-profit, and that's what they do. Again, at the same time, I don't want to set a precedent for this board, I won't be here much longer again, or future boards, I should say, going down the road of building what in essence, capital projects outside of the boundaries of Pasco County. Again, we have an additional charities here in the county, not-for-profits, that do feed people. We have, hey, I'll be honest with you, I would love it if that $250, give to our elderly services and let them feed more people. We have a waiting list of people, if I'm not correct. Do we still have a waiting list, Ms. Pearson? We have a waiting list of people right now that we could divert those funds to our senior citizens that are sitting there waiting for more meals. And we know where the money goes. We know how it's going to be spent. Again, appreciate what they do. Don't think we should be building projects outside of our county. If they were to ask maybe for funding for so many meals, I've been more apt to do that, but I will be voting against this unless we clear this up.
Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you. Commissioner Moore, I agree with you. I didn't support it either. Very similar reasons. But I didn't think of your idea, which I really love, is I'd rather take that 125, feed it to a whole bunch of seniors. So if I get those seniors that would need to go get food elsewhere, now we can actually feed them instead. I think it's a much better idea, better use of our money. I will tell you, we have tons of homeless people that get bussed in from other areas. We don't track them. We don't find out where they're coming from. But all that trash has led to fires, has led to more homelessness here because they can get a free meal from someone dropping it off somewhere else. And I will tell you, people like the Rope Center, those people there go to work every day. You can't get them even doing side stuff because they're out there in the community doing work. There's plenty of opportunity out there right now for people. You go to restaurant after restaurant, place after place, contractor after contractor. They can't get people to go to work. So I agree with your sentiment. I don't want to spend that money on capital for down in another area outside the county. I'd rather take care of our seniors right here, like you say, and increase the meal money that's going to go to them.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, again, I'm all about, again, supporting them feeding people. I mean, how many times have I brought trucks in here to feed citizens? 3 times? Yeah, I'm all about it. I want to help. I want to help as many people as I can. Again, this is a capital project. We should not be spending Pasco County taxpayer dollars to build a building outside of our county.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
So I'm in support of participating in a one-time scenario. I don't believe this is going to be setting a specific precedent. I do believe it is a one-time situation. The number of citizens that benefit outweigh how much we're spending. I will look into, as I sit on the Board of Area Agency on Aging, for additional funding, if we need additional funding for our seniors. But Kathy did bring the numbers and the breakdown on how many meals that are provided, the number of meals that get distributed, and the amount that we're investing is a lot less than it would cost us to provide those meals to all of those citizens. So I am in support.
Okay, so that's 3, so can we keep going? Because we
Yeah,
have, I have 11:30 time certain.
I hate to vote against this today, so.
Well, you're.
No, I'm just saying, I just.
You're gonna vote against the budget? Or, I don't know, is this, never had this happen, so do you pull out?
This is just a trim, the actual vote on the
Usually
budget
we
will be
have
in September.
consensus amongst things like this,
Yeah.
and if even 1 or 2 are in agreement, we typically, work through it. I mean, I've been here for 8 years now, we typically work through these things, and we.
Well, I personally don't think 125,000 will even cover the cost of the racks to hold the food that's coming to Pasco County. That's the way and it's for 2 years.
If it had been an ask for, say they're paying for so many meals, it'd be a different story for me, but we're a building, they're able to provide services now, in the building they're in, they want to expand, great. But again, this is for a structure.
Yeah, it's a regional distribute, it's a regional.
I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah.
Maybe Kathy can bring the numbers that show the number of meals that we are providing specifically, because it does benefit the number of citizens.
I need to ask.
We're not buying meals, we're helping to buy for them to expand a building.
It's capital expenses to
Exactly.
support the
Not for
distribution of food. If we, so can is it a vote to remove an item? Or is it, I don't know the procedure, I've never seen this happen.
This is, you're approving the trim, the truth and
Okay,
village.
so
Now,
if this
you
is
can-
on there and they want to vote no, then they vote no against the
You
trim.
can give us direction to remove something or add something today, but this item is actually for the trim notice.
Well, there's 3 people who
Right.
don't want this removed from the trim.
Okay.
And so I don't know how to proceed.
Well, it wouldn't change our recommendation anyway on the trim, whether you added this or took it off.
Right,
Yeah, it's not gonna change.
actually, you're actually not voting on this
Correct.
allocation,
Right.
you're voting on the overall trim notice of millage.
Right.
At which you can reduce at your first or second budget year. So it's a, you can have this discussion in September.
Again, I'm just looking
or
at, listen, I'm
summer.
protecting future boards of a precedent that's gonna be set, and do not be shocked next year when people line up, and once you start
We could
doing
say,
capital projects for them in other counties, because they provide services here. So
We
there's a
could-
lot of not-for-profits that aren't located in Pasco County. There's a lot of profits that aren't located in Florida that provide services here in Pasco County. Are we at the point now where if somebody asks us in Louisiana, because they're providing services in Pasco County, we're gonna contribute to putting up a building for them? I mean, let's not set a precedent.
Answer's no to that.
Well, we don't know that, because you want this now,
so, I'm past my time certain. How many more pages do you have?
I can go through very quickly.
I think we should continue on. I think you've made your point. I think you've made your point.
We can always cut it.
I am disheartened to hear that we have seniors still waiting on the list. So I do want to talk about that, and maybe
yeah.
we're going to pull from the general and make sure we don't have a list, because I
We can
think we have.
easily move that
We can
250
do
over
that. I'd like you to get us back with a number of what we need to get rid of a waiting list for our elderly people to eat. And why don't you continue?
I'd rather spend it that way.
Oh,
Well, I think we have enough to do
Oh,
both.
now we got 3 that are in agreement to that.
No.
No?
Agreed
No?
with Kathy.
1,
All right.
2, 3.
Let's go, Bob.
Very good, thank you.
Mariana, Moore, Oakwood.
So as
He
I
didn't say
said,
he was
the-
canceling
No, he said
that.
he'd rather give the money to the seniors that were on winning list.
If we could do both, would you do both? Commissioner Oakley?
So we can't do both, because we don't, it's 250. We gotta-
Oh, no, we gotta see.
We could not afford to provide that number
Sorry.
of meals for that amount of money.
Let's get through this presentation.
Yes.
Till
That
that to the
discussion can
senior
happen as
citizens.
We're
well.
gonna,
Well,
we're
that's
gonna,
it.
we're
Been on
gonna
the
keep
waiting
going
list
with the
for that many
budget
years.
presentation,
And I-
guys.
And I know a lot more about this than you, Commissioner. I'm just
There's
letting you
about
know
$1
this. I've been
million,
in this for 20
$1.4
years,
million in
and
area
there's so
agency on
many seniors
aging,
out
so we
there.
can
You have no
redirect
clue what
that.
you're
Guys,
talking about.
guys.
No
we're-
clue what you're talking about.
We're gonna go on with the budget
Absolutely no clue.
presentation.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you, ma'am. As I said, we plan or we're recommending that we take a good share of that additional $21 million and investing it in our capital improvement program. You've seen this slide here before, so I won't spend a lot of time on the slide. Here is some of our ongoing expenditures, some of the things that we fund year after year, and we have, as a result of that additional funding, we have increased the amount of money in these projects. Again, placing some of that money into the Parks and Rec. Commissioner Fitzpatrick mentioned this morning the Pine Hill Park that we've recently taken over, and so we intend to invest heavily in that park to bring that up to Pasco County standards. There is some additional drainage at the Starkey Ranch District Park that we'd like to do, and you can see the other areas here. And then finally, some of the investments in areas outside of Parks and Recreation. We have 2 of our branch libraries. Mr. Fasano has asked that the tax collector's office at the West Government Pass in the east side, the other building, his offices be renovated over there. The public safety answering point relocation would take over the first floor of the IT building, and then for the supervisor election would take over that first floor, and we'd move the PSAP up to the second floor. You can see the remaining there. So for our constitutional officer requests, we can see these are the amounts that have been requested. The sheriff's budget there has been adjusted for take into account 40% of the final taxable assessed values. What we're doing is recommending that we approve the first 3 of those, and for the clerk and comptroller's budget, I have on the next slide here. So we are recommending that we increase the clerk and comptroller's budget by $1 million, and that's made up of her existing staff, including increases in retirement, health care, merit raises, and those sorts of things to the tune of $710,000. And then including C, just related software and hardware for another $318,000. And we're recommending that the final two items on that list not be included in the 2023 budget. And then finally, we are asking for the approval of the proposed millage rates. You can see the first three millage rates on there. There are no change to the Pasco operating, transportation, or the MSTU. You'll notice for the next group of millage rates, these are for the GEO bonds. These millage rates have been reduced, and the reason for that is because we have what we asked for is a level debt service, which means that our debt service from year to year doesn't change very much other than a few $1,000s. And as the taxable assessed value of our county increases, we can reduce the general obligation bond millage to collect the same amount of revenues. And when we look at our fire rescue 2020A, library, and the jail project, the reason they have increased is because they were new general obligation bonds, and in the first year of a GEO bond, we pay interest only, and then in the second year, we pay interest plus principal, and that's the reason for that increase. And then finally, I just wanted to point out for the folks at home, this aggregate is not the sum of all of those items above it. It's not the average of all those items above it. It's really something that doesn't mean a whole lot. It's just something that the state requires us to calculate and present to you.
That made a lot of sense.
Pardon me?
It's the one Bob and I talk about every year because I go, how can you be this far up? And it's a special calculation.
Absolutely. And so we would ask that you would approve these millage rates, these proposed millage rates for inclusion in the truth and millage notice that goes out in August, and to approve, or to set the first public hearing for September 6th at 5:15 in Dade City.
Okay, I'm going to take a little chair's prerogative and call Kathy up, please. And I think the feeding, whatever the program is where we feed our elderly, is under you. And I just want to know, did we ask for money in this budget to get rid of our waiting list?
So Commissioners, thank you. No, we have not asked. So we receive 100% of our funding through the Older Americans Act. That is a grant that we receive for years and years and years for the home delivered meal programs. So we have never asked for a general revenue fund. We do have the not-for-profit that helps us feeding, Pasco's Feeding Elderly, which is a fundraising group that has raised tremendous amount of dollars for us. So they do fund a lot of people on our waiting list, but we will never, ever have 100% completed. But we will be more than happy to get those figures to you and what the cost would be for that, for the remaining that are on that list.
Madam Chair, since you brought it up, thank you, Madam Chair. You made a great point about, feeding Pasco early, which a number of people we know that sit on that board, but a number of us have donated funds out of our own pockets throughout the years to that on numerous occasions. So, that's having to be supported by citizens and tax-paying citizens for actually going for additional dollars in their pockets to support that. Back to my point, if we're going to provide some of these funds, I would very much like to see that happen out of those dollars. I see a lot of heads shaking in the audience as well, by the way.
So I'm going to get you the figures, but I can probably tell you $125,000 is not going to feed a lot of seniors for 5 days a week.
But it's
365.
It's some.
It will fit some. So
I'm going to get
that
having
information.
fundraisers and asking the other citizens of Pasco County to continue to reach in their pockets and pay for it. I mean, these are taxpayer dollars right here too.
Absolutely.
I recall, Commissioner Moore, you weren't here, Commissioner Oakley and Fitzpatrick weren't here, but Jack, I remember in the recession we had to cut that budget. And that's when we suggested, they used to get money in our list of charitable donations, and I remember that's when we said, let's look at a nonprofit, a charitable way to donate to that fund, so we didn't have the seniors on the list, and that's when that 501c3 started.
Yeah, Madam Chair, before you got here, actually, even when we had the big drop, I actually suggested that we actually give more money to
I think we should.
because they were going to need it. I will tell you, the inflation rate that's hitting our citizens, our seniors especially, right now, on fixed incomes, barely making it.
Right.
Right now, it's probably more important than ever to go take a look at what those numbers are.
I think
And
we need to
would
come
say
back
to-
with a line item on this,
Absolutely.
on this one.
Yeah, Madam Chair, last, and I'll leave this
I
here.
agree with
And just to go back, my knowledge base, and you know that, the amount of years I spent in that industry, in the senior care industry, and actually owning a corporation that provided care for the seniors, and having my caregivers go in these homes on a regular basis with some of these low-income seniors on our Medicaid waiver and nursing home diversion programs that would sit there and have to make a choice. And their choice was, do I take my medications, or do I eat today, or do I pay my bills?
Yeah, we don't have enough money that we should be able to take care of. I think that needs to be a priority.
And Commissioner Fitzpatrick, I know you serve on the Area Agency Board, right? And so that is where our money comes from. And so there's a certain allocation that Pasco County and Pinellas County get every year. So we will come up with that figure, bring it back to all of you with a presentation, and see where we go from there.
So Commissioners, just yesterday,
Before
my
she leaves.
sister let me know of a neighbor across the street from her who gets $800 a month, and her rent just went up. And my sister said she's literally watching this lady starve, and she's bringing her food. So I asked Marcy does our program extend to people in the city limits? Because she's in the Newport Richie city limits.
Absolutely, we do countywide.
Well, we got to get this lady
And we also
hooked up.
deliver for pets, too. So we have a
Right.
pet food delivery also.
And are all of these citizens aware of the funding that we have? There's a funding source to help with medication.
A funding source to help with medications. Help me
There's
with
another
that?
funding source. I can get additional information. I thought there was another funding source
All right.
that can help with medications. And then are every one of these seniors aware of the
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
tax savings?
Wait, Commissioner Fitzpatrick, we'll have that discussion. We're in the budget, so let's move on with the budget, and
Okay, my
we're going to
last
have her
question
come back.
is about the taxes, because they can actually save on their taxes.
Okay, we'll talk about that
Okay. All right.
more in depth at another
Okay,
time.
great, thank you.
Okay, moving forward. All right, so knowing that we're going to come back with a line item to take care of that list, where are you?
We are looking for a motion and approval to approve the proposed millage rate and set the first public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, and now, I'm
Thank
really
you.
glad we had that discussion, and that was
Thank
brought
you.
up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have a time certain, that was at 11:30. We're going to go to that now.
All right. Mr. Dan Biles, do you mind stepping to the podium? His favorite place. All right. I'll go ahead and read your resolution. Resolution number 22-170, a resolution by the Board of A resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, commending Dan Biles, Pasco County Administrator, for his dedicated service to Pasco County and his contribution to creating a people-focused organizational culture. Whereas Dan Biles began his career with Pasco County as County Administrator on May 1st, 2017, at a pivotal time for Pasco County's unprecedented growth and establishment as a leading county in the Tampa Bay area. And whereas Dan brought with him a focus on customer service and a strong commitment to training leaders from within and empowering them to improve business operations. And whereas under Dan's leadership, Pasco County has undergone radical cultural changes that have resulted in significant performance gains across the enterprise, as well as 3 different local and national Best Places to Work awards. And whereas of Dan's myriad accomplishments, he will especially be remembered for his unwavering leadership and administrative creativity through the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, his involvement in making the construction of the Ridge Road extension a reality, providing an essential hurricane evacuation route, and a new major corridor for Pasco County commuters, and his collaboration in the momentous Moffett-Pasco County project, which will provide more than 14,000 jobs in a geographic footprint larger than downtown Tampa, and more importantly, bring hope to innumerable people for decades to come. And whereas Dan's leadership philosophy of people, purpose, performance has been ingrained in the countless team members he has influenced and mentored, and he has instilled in us a desire to continue to prioritize people, connect them to the purpose, and to get out of the way for their success. And whereas Dan's commitment to empowering subject matter experts in the organization, his thoughtful and calculated decision-making process, and his contributions to an intelligent and quiet yet strong leader are qualities our team members will continue to emulate. And whereas Dan believes that a leader's legacy is this: a leader should be able to disappear at any moment without anyone noticing changes based on their absence. And although our team knows this to be true, we will undoubtedly suffer a loss upon Dan's departure. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby takes great pleasure in recognizing Dan Biles, Pasco County Administrator, for 5 years of leadership to Pasco County team members, community stakeholders, and citizens, and extends their sincere gratitude for the invaluable contributions he has made to Pasco County. We wish him a rewarding and fulfilling next chapter in his life. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 12th day of July, 2022.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we're going to let you speak first, and then we'll go.
Oh, boy. Well, I don't have anything prepared. Oh, I had an idea this was coming. There's a lot there, and I think I was asked, I think at the last LDP class, what I'm most proud of, and I think it's the impact we've had to the people who actually work for Pasco County, and the ability for them to be able to take the initiative and do their job. And I could not do that without the support of you, because if you would not support the effort I made to doing that in the direction we took the county, that would not have happened. And so I appreciate the support the board gave me to allow me to run this organization in the same manner Publix has run, in the same manner USA has run, Southwest Airlines, all those best places to work, great corporations that do great business for both their employees, but also their customers. And you've allowed me to do that. And so it's a little uncomfortable today because I don't like standing up here. And, I actually prefer to be in the background, out of the spotlight, and let you or the team really take the credit for the great things that are happening. So I appreciate it. It's been truly a remarkable 5 years. I don't think I ever would have imagined we've gone through the things we've gone through over the last 5 years. But thank you for all the support. Thanks to the team for all the support, because I couldn't do it without them as well. At the end of the day, we have a great team that does great work, and Mike's going to step in and is going to take the county to the next level, with your support and with the support of the rest of the team. And so I'm truly happy. And I still own property in Pasco County, and while we may not be here, full time, we still are connected back to Pasco County. And so it would only be something like this, or what we're doing, would be the only way I was going to leave anyway. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the support, and thank you for everything you've done to support me over the last 5 years, even when we may not have agreed. Which that's a part of the business, right? So thank you for that. Thank you for allowing me to tell you my opinion on stuff, because that's also important, even when I know we don't necessarily agree. And I'm going to try to look at all 5 of you, because I think I've disagreed with every one of you on time to time. But that's part of the great work atmosphere, and how people do great things, allowing discussion, debate, and those kinds of things. So thank you for that, and thank you for the time. And I'm really going to miss y'all on this team. We throw rounds around from time to time, but I've loved the work that we've done here, and I've loved the people we work with. We have a great team, and we do great work. So thank you.
Well, there's no doubt you were the right person at the right time for our county to bring us to where we are today. And I think something that's not on this resolution, I don't think, is, one of the best places to work award. How many counties have won that? I mean, it can't be a lot. And that was best place to work in America, not in the Tampa Bay area, not in Florida. So that's a great accomplishment, especially where we were a few years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm sure some of the other commissioners. We'll start over here with Chris Oakley. Yeah.
Corner.
Are you vice chair?
You're good. No, it's down there.
We're going to start right and move left.
But I was part of the commissioners. We all 5 commissioners. That was Mike Wells was on board at that time, that we selected Dan to be our #1 man, and we all voted for you and really felt that you were the right man to lead us forward to be a premier county. I think I had different views at the beginning, because I think I struggled with understanding your way of doing things. But after I got past that, I very much appreciated all that you did for us throughout that. Your management style was a little different than mine. I'm more hands-on doing things, and I push to not get things done next year, but today. So I work hard to do things as quickly as we can. I found out with government that you don't make government move as fast as you would if you were a personal company or working for yourself. So, but you got to appreciate, we do a lot of things very quickly with our voting privileges and all to move things in the right direction, and you help guide us to do that for this premier county, but also in the fact that here we are, we vote for those things that you led us into and directed, and we're very appreciative for what you've done for our county and lead us toward a premier county. So there's a lot of pluses and awards and kudos and all the things that go to support you being here, and I certainly appreciate you as an individual and as a commissioner. I very much appreciated everything you did. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Dan. So Dan would have a quarterly talk. I was Ask the Administrator, Ask Dan Biles, what was it called again?
Ask Me Anything, yes, sir.
Ask Me Anything.
AMA.
And I would listen to those. I don't know, and I think Mr. Biles has figured out by now that I would participate in those as well. And he's laughing over there. And some of the questions would be, who's your favorite commissioner? Which commissioner do you like the most? So any of those that you guys listened to when he did that.
Came up every time.
Yeah, yes. But he would, obviously, he played the political route. As I have respect for each and every commissioner and all those types of things. But I always threw it out there just to see how he would answer. It was fun. And then I would do other silly questions and ask, like, who's going to win the A&M game against Texas or whatever like that, and what's going on with your team or whatever. So I'd have fun with that. But I say this because when you talk about leadership, and a lot of us have been in executive positions throughout the years, and we have similar traits when it comes to our leadership traits of trying to bring good, strong team members in. Sometimes we do have to teach some, but giving them the ability to lead on their own, right? And that's how you've led. I always thought that was important too. If I brought somebody in that couldn't do the job, it was time for him to go. But that meant I failed though, because I made that bad decision. Thankfully, when we brought you on, we made a good decision, and we did not fail. So when you decided, you stated you were going to leave, and I know you met with all the commissioners, and you told me why, but it was very noble of you. Obviously, you've helped lead the Pasco County, taking us to the next level as one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. But you're not leaving here because you're going to go on to another administrator position or a city manager position. You're actually leaving here to go to somewhere else where you're going to help thousands and thousands of people. And I commend you for that. So you'll be dearly missed, and I wish you all the best, and you'll always have a place back here in Pasco County. And I'm going to go back to the leadership thing one more time. We made a decision recently to promote Mike Krabala as the next county administrator. But that also shows your great, again, leadership abilities and capabilities as well, because you led somebody and took them to the next level where we didn't have to go out and find somebody else. No, we wanted to keep it in. We wanted to keep it close to home. We wanted to keep it within the family because things were going so well. So again, all the best to you. You'll be dearly missed, and I wish you and your family nothing but the best.
Thanks.
Ms. Nikki?
Hi. All right, so Dan, you and I probably have butted heads a couple of times,
Once or
maybe
twice.
just a couple. And I'm not your boss, right? So we're free to butt heads. Doesn't mean that I don't respect you. I respect you tremendously and your leadership. And when you first came on, your very first year, I feel like we had like 3 natural disasters in Pasco, right? I think we had a raging fire.
Yes.
Was that right? Right. We had a sinkhole, like crazy sinkhole issue. And then didn't it like floods? Was it floods?
Irma.
Oh, Irma. Oh, Irma was that year, which caused floods. That's why. a major category hurricane. So you were tested right off of the bat to see, what stuff you were made of, right? And sitting back watching you and taking part in those conversations, I was really impressed. Very impressed with your leadership and, about encouraging and giving the power to your team so that they can do their jobs and getting out of the way so that they can perform well. You showed that even in the first year, trusting your team and making them shine. So that to me just speaks volumes of who you are. And I appreciate even when we butt heads together, because I know that we can have good conversations and we both are doing our jobs. I just want to say thank you for leading Pasco these last few years and your partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to wish Jan the best. I've worked with probably 7 county administrators in my career. Each one is different. I will say going from John Gallagher to Dan Biles, major change in philosophy. But I do wish you the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Well, I haven't had the opportunity to work with you as long as all the other commissioners here, but I have learned a lot in the past year and a half and during our monthly meetings, so I would like to say thank you for everything that I have learned. And I'm going to say we may not always agree on topics at times, but that's probably like a lot. That's probably more because I like to see projects get done more quickly, and I know I have to learn that government doesn't always get done as quick as we may like, but I'm still going to keep the ball rolling and being the squeaky wheel. So, thank you.
Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dan, I'll tell you, I remember very well when we were making a selection to pick from you, and I know we talked many times about how important the Ridge Road extension was, stormwater was a big issue, permitting was a big issue. And I want to say, when you had the opportunity to get Ridge Road done quickly, you took a step back and said, you know what, we're ready to go, but we've got a big development wants to come in here, a big job employer, great opportunity, wouldn't tell me the name at the time, but with Moffett coming in, we had to reset the road to give them the cuts they needed to do what they needed to go do. And that was a bold move on your part because it could have been a great success, but you took the step back, we regrouped, we set it up, and went through the whole process. That leadership right there gave me a lot of confidence with you. And like you all, we butted heads too. But we always discussed it, and what I always liked is I always got the truth. And with the truth, you can work with it. And when you know everybody else is being told the same basic things every step of the way, and you still try to find solutions to appease the 5 of us to get through, you never relented on doing that. Even if you didn't agree with my point and you had to look at the other points as well and you felt it was going to go a different way, you still tried to accommodate to make the best decision you could for the county. And I really respect that tremendously. When we talk about you're working with people, 2004 we had all the hurricanes, 4 of them that came to Pasco, and I get to see it all as I was doing my campaign and looking, and all of a sudden this was a huge issue for us. And for years I was tired of seeing us on the news from Ironbark and Gray Birch and Trinity and the governor coming down with the special meetings we have and the special groups we got to set up. And you helped the team, and Mike Carbella, part of the reason you're taking the leadership and putting that team together to get these flooding issues done. I mean, literally, I used to have a loop that would take me 3-4 hours when a storm was coming. I'd get in the car, I'd start driving and checking them all out as they go. I'm down to like 2 spots.
Yeah.
And even yesterday, we were down at Westport, and we had a pump that was in there 3 months, I'll say 30 days ago. It had been plugged up, and something collapsed the line. No fault to anybody, just collapsed. Your guys were out there Monday morning, yesterday morning, first thing in the morning, brought vac trucks out there, cleaned the thing out, put a new pipe in, fixed the thing up, and by being out there, I actually got to meet one of the landowners we needed an easement from, another contractor doing the work from, and now that project may get steamrolled a lot quicker. But not for Mike, your team getting out there under your leadership to get these guys out there empowered to find the solutions, we wouldn't have that. So for all the people that had those floods that were going on, and what we've done, I mean, stormwater is at like 95% satisfaction. That's the type of leadership that led the way. And I know you wouldn't be done yet, because I know you got a lot of things, so you got another calling, and I appreciate that. But for the work you've done and everything else in the discussions, I generally appreciate you as a professional and the great service you've done for us. You've helped elevate Pasco County to get to premier, and now we're going beyond. Thank you.
Thank you.
And one last thank you from me for having so much patience with my ADD during our meetings. I know I took you on a lot of rabbit trails, but they were all important rabbit trails. So I don't know why I have two, but I have one that's framed and one that's not framed. And you're gonna get both, and we're all gonna come down, take a photo, and then we're gonna come back up, and the attorney and I have to discuss our private session, and then we'll break for lunch. So sorry, we're running over. All right, let's have the Yakas come up and get a photo. All right, the whole team, all of us back there.
Let's stand up here.
Oh, going back?
Don't leave. Don't leave. Just make sure you can see Dan. There's a lot of you.
Terry? Dan, I think you need to take 2 steps forward and let it fill in behind you a little bit.
Yeah.
Folks, move in here a little bit. Two rows is fine. I'm just kidding.
Look at, the shorties are in the back. What are they thinking? They got
Yeah. You don't realize how tall people are until you stand here and you see how tall Chief Casson is.
like the short.
Hello, David.
That's a good idea, actually. Why don't we get other people up here? Why don't we say them up here?
Hey, why don't you, get the Akas to come up here. That way everybody can see. Well, I know that you can see. Everybody can see.
Or they could have took a step behind.
Take another.
Yeah.
Just that.
I mean, there's plenty of room up here.
Yeah, come on up here.
Yeah. Squeeze in, dude. Mix it all in.
Mike?
Come on, mix it in. Get in here. Everybody get in. Squeeze in. All right. Hold on. Sorry, I'll just turn this on. Oh, we didn't even take it.
Wait a minute.
We were all messing around up here. We were all looking the other way up here.
Yeah, we were ready.
You might want to do that again. They were still getting situated.
I didn't hear it coming.
Yeah, you gotta like say 3, 2, 1. Or 1, 2, 3.
Hold on, people still getting situated.
All right, everybody look at Ryan.
Ryan's trying to get action shots. He thinks it's like a football game or something.
See, he's taking the belly button.
I always make you look good.
I never like it. I don't like pictures.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Fumbling around. Shooting away.
If he's trying to make me look at you go up and shoot down, it makes you look thinner.
Yes. It gets rid of these.
Yeah.
Oh, so we got
All right.
After I do mine.
Okay.
Man. What are we doing now?
What number is it?
Is it 86?
86, yes.
So it's going to be closed?
Yes. Madam Chairman, I desire advice of the Board of County Commissioners concerning the case of William Hammond and the Pasco County Professional Firefighters, Local 4420, International Association of Firefighters versus Pasco County, case number 51-2022-CA-00150-CAAXWS, Florida Circuit Court, 6th Judicial Circuit, to discuss settlement negotiations and strategy related to litigation, and for that reason, I request a private attorney-client meeting. If the board approves, you should open the private attorney-client meeting and announce the commencement and estimated length of time of the private attorney-client meeting, the names of the persons attending. At the conclusion of the private attorney-client meeting, the board's public meeting should be reconvened, and you should announce the termination of the private attorney-client meeting. The entire private attorney-client meeting will be reported by a certified court reporter, and the transcript thereof will be made a public record upon conclusion of the litigation. I estimate the attorney-client meeting will last approximately 45 minutes. We have scheduled a certified court reporter to be in attendance in the county attorney's office next door for the private attorney-client meeting. We will terminate the meeting at your 1:30, when we reconvene the regular board meeting at 1:30.
Okay, me?
You.
Okay, I hereby announce the commencement of a private attorney-client meeting at which the board will discuss settlement negotiations and strategy related to litigation expenditures in the case of William Hammond and Pasco County Professional Firefighters, Local 4420, International Association of Firefighters in Pasco County, case number 51-2022-CA-00150-CAAXWS, Florida Circuit Court, 6th Judicial Circuit. The names of the persons extended to attend the private attorney-client meeting are Chairman Catherine Starkey, Vice Chairman Jack Mariano, Commissioners Ron Oakley, Mike Moore, Christina Fitzpatrick, the County Attorney Jeffrey N. Snyder, the County Administrator Dan Biles, Chief Assistant County Attorney David Goldstein, outside counsel Gregory Hearing, and a court reporter. The estimated length of the private attorney-client meeting is approximately 45 minutes. The private attorney-client meeting will now convene in the county attorney's office. Okay, we are adjourned. Hey, can Andy go get a